Hey coin collectors, it's DC on the Big D with a 1965 Canada $1 coin. And we can see right here at the top it says Canada, down here at the bottom it says dollar. Right here underneath the canoe it says 1965. And then we have a Voyager and a First Nations Canadian paddling a canoe. And if you really magnify it, you can see that there's an H and a B there for the Hudson Bay Company. This has an island behind them. They're going down a river. There's a pine or other tree there. And over here on the side, we see an E and an H. And that's for Manuel Otto Hahn, the designer of this coin. And this coin was engraved by Thomas Shingles. And so, what do I mean, the designer and the engraver? Well, these coins are designed, obviously, by a designer, but then every year they have to be changed a little bit and re-engraved because they put the dates on them. So this engraving here of this version is from Thomas Shingles. We tip it up, we see that it has a reeded rim, and then if we flip it over, we see, of course, on all the Canadian coins, we're going to see Queen Elizabeth until they come out with the new ones. Queen Elizabeth II here. Queen Elizabeth is facing to the right. She's wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, and that's kind of important for what I'm going to talk to you about later. This is an Arnold Machen engraving. Of course, when they switch it over to the Canadian coins, they actually have to have it re-engraved, and this was Walter Ott did the Arnold Machen engraving on the Canadian coins. This is a shiny looking coin, and those of you who know 1965 know that this is a special coin, maybe a very special coin. There are versions of this coin that are worth $6,000 Canadian or $5,000 US. One of the things that makes this coin very valuable is that it's 80% silver and 20% copper. So just in bullion value alone, we're talking about $13 or so for this coin. They made 10.8 million of these in 1965. They stopped making the silver ones in 1967 with the Confederation version of the dollar and went to a nickel dollar after that. And then, of course, many of you know that they later on switched to the loonie. And this, of course, is the loonie. And it has some similarities, so let's just take a look at them. So this is, these are paddling on a river. This is a loon in a river. It has the kind of firs in the background going from left to right. It kind of took some of the patterns from this old dollar. There are a bunch of different varieties of this dollar, and the first thing you always want to look at on these is to see whether it's a sharp 5 or a blunt or flat 5 on the back. And we can see this one. See how it comes up and kind of is pointy on the end there? That means that this is the pointed 5 or sharp 5. So that means it's a certain variety. How do we find out which one of the sharp 5 varieties or pointed 5 varieties it is? We tip it over and we see where the eye points in Regina or Queen. And so when we look at the front of this, it says DG Regina, by the grace of God, Regina or Queen. This is a 37-year-old Queen Elizabeth when she first came on this coin. And you notice that this was in 1987, and they still had this second Arnold Machen portrait on the 1987 coins. It's the same portrait. Can you see the kind of Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara on both? So anyways, when you turn it over to this side, you look at where the eye faces. And when we look at it, we see that this eye goes straight across to a dot or a bead. So if the eye goes straight across to a dot or a bead, that means that this is a small bead pointed 5 version. If the back of it was a smooth 5 on the back, this would be the small bead blunt 5 version. What's the difference? Well, $300 or $400. If you can get this small bead pointed 5 version in an MS-66, it's worth about $900 Canadian. If you can get the small beads blunt 5 version of this, it's worth about $600 Canadian. So it really makes a difference in value. If you can get this in a blunt or smooth 5 on the back, which I don't have, and they're hard to get, and you have to pay for them, because you're probably going to pay $20 or more for this coin. Maybe you can get it for 16 or 17 if it's really in bad condition, but in general it's going to be a $20+ coin. If you can get this with the blunt 5 on the back and the large beads, how do you figure out which one is the large beads? Well, you take a look at this eye right here. On the large beads version, what you're going to look for is whether the eye goes to the left of the bead or to the right of the bead. If it goes to the right of the bead, then this is a large bead version. So we know that this is the small bead version, but if this eye points kind of in between the beads on that line that goes straight across, then this would be a large beads version, and that's going to be the most valuable one. These are all made at the Royal Canadian Mint. They also made a number of other coins that were silver that year. And here's a silver $50. And look at this one. It just got this amazing kind of color on it, but only in a couple spots. And they made a quarter that was silver in 1965. And they made a dime that was silver in 1965. If you got just the mint set for these, because there's so much silver in there, the 1965 Canada Mint set is probably worth about $25 to $30 just in silver value alone. All right, that's all we have today from Big D Coins. Look for these Canadian coins out there. Keep them around because for some reason, these Canadian coins are getting more and more valuable, and not just from the silver value, just because collectors are starting to collect them more. Have a great day from Big D Coins, and please subscribe to the channel and leave any comments you have in the comment section.